So I don't think this is a crisis. I don't quite know how to put it. I don't know that I would say we're crisis adjacent or bordering on a crisis, but the injuries are starting to pile up. Marcus Davenport is probably done for the year, which they took a chance on a guy that's been injured. When he's healthy, it looks like he can be a pretty good football player. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. Detroit got him. And what does he do? Unfortunately, he gets hurt again. And it was reported by Ian Rappaport, I believe, yesterday was the first to say he was likely done for the year, and Dan Campbell said as much, or somebody in the Lions.
Have they confirmed it's torn triceps, or I thought I read this morning they thought it might be yesterday. They thought elbow, but kind of maybe it's where the tricep meets the elbow. I don't know, but either way, perhaps gone for the year. That's too bad.
Yep.
Very high expectations for Marcus Davenport coming in.
And by the way, speaking of Lions, because of the Monday night game, Jared Goff joins us tomorrow. So we'll have Jared Goff on tomorrow. It being Tuesday in their work week yesterday. So
the Wednesday becomes what Tuesday is. Tuesday's a day off in the NFL, typically, but for the Lions, their day off will be Wednesday.
Okay, so Davenport's probably done for the year. Frank Ragnow has a torn pec. He's week to week. You just heard him talked about in the update. Derek Barnes has a knee that's going to lead to significant playing time lost. Alec Anzalone is still in concussion protocol. He could come out of that at any time. Brian Branch also in concussion protocol. Others nursing injuries of various degrees that missed time in the game. Sam Laporta, Lee McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, Terrion Arnold, Dan Skipper. And I think there's even more. Did
you mention Glasgow?
I did not mention Glasgow.
Nice.
He did. Yep. He's banged up as well. We'll see when it comes, time to set your active roster on Monday. But every time we talked about the Lions leading up to the preseason, almost every topic, we would give the addendum, provided there isn't massive injuries.
Right.
And this isn't massive yet, but they're starting to pile up. Now they're a deep team, and you know how we say at the end of when you get down to the final cuts, and we've always said these practice squad guys are important. These guys are important because they're going to play. Yep. You don't know which ones, and you go into the season crossing your fingers, but the truth is practice squad guys get called up, and the next thing you know, and it's one of those things that leads to us, as we have mentioned, once a year, we're going to say during a Lions game, somebody makes a play and we're going to go, who? Because invariably there's a practice squad player that has to get activated because somebody got hurt late in the week, and the next thing you know, they're playing. So who from the practice squad can get elevated? Could be Chris Smith. Could be Isaac Ukwu. Remember him from the preseason. The who guy would be Pat O'Connor, who is on the practice squad as a defensive lineman. They may not elevate anybody from the practice squad and may just go with the group that they have and activate a player that hasn't been eligible or hasn't been activated in James Houston. But Scott, this is starting to pile up. Where are you on the worry scale?
Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried because the Ragnow situation, I'm worried, and I'm also a little bit encouraged. Maybe the bye week comes at a fantastic time, which you wouldn't normally say that after 4 weeks, because the Lions will play Seattle on Monday and then they have the bye week. But right now, because of how banged up they are, maybe it's a blessing the bye week comes this early. But the Ragnow situation is, look, it's already concerning because he's dealing with a chronic foot injury. And now you're talking about a partially torn pec.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound like, oh yeah, if you play with it, you shouldn't damage it anymore.
Right.
But if it's partially torn, can it get more torn? That's a concern. And the player who would go in his place, if you want to sit him out a week, well, that's Graham Glasgow. So if Graham Glasgow is banged up and Frank Ragnow is banged up, then you get into a real situation. Now maybe Glasgow's able to go and he's banged up to start the week, and he'll be okay for game time. But would he be anywhere near 100% what he has been? But it's shuffling, because now you got to come up with a new left guard. So as Awasika come up, he's got plenty of playing time last year. Dan Skipper, if Dan Skipper is unable to go, think about what a huge part of the offense he was on Sunday. Skipper reporting. Yes, here we go. Love it. Here we go. But if he's unable to go, then do they need to bring somebody else up? I think when you look at the practice squad guys, one of the moves I really liked on the practice squad, they were able to keep him on, is Jamarco Jones, the veteran offensive tackle, and he's a bit of a mauler, and I kind of like him, and I feel like he's better than just a practice squad guy. So does he get an opportunity? Although if he's just a guard, or if he's just a tackle, then maybe not. But does he come in place of Skipper if Skipper can't go? But the Ragnow injury is the one that really concerns me, because it would shuffle everything else around.
248-539-9797. Phone calls, feedback, Carson Anderson, 97.1. And Terrion Arnold, look, I actually don't have a problem with the way he's been playing. He hasn't been perfect, and I don't expect him to be perfect. And the flags are, they are what they are. He's taken 5 15-yard penalties, or I guess spot foul penalties because of pass interference. But he's in position to make plays, which is one of the tougher skills to try and, that's the hard part of the position. Now it comes down to the playing of the football, the hand fighting, all the things that he has gotten flagged for, not turning around in time. Relatively speaking, that's the easy part. The hardest part is staying in phase with the receiver that you're covering. So, but him being banged up, you hope he's okay. Derek Barnes, man, look, they got depth at linebacker. Everybody loves Rodrigo, and it's great to have Rodrigo. But Derek Barnes was playing. He was playing a different role. He was setting up on the edge, and they were going with Anzalone and Jack Campbell in the middle and rushing Derek Barnes a lot. And that's a underrated loss. And remember a couple of years ago, we wondered if Derek Barnes would be the odd man out, and Derek Barnes has turned himself into a hell of an asset for this team.
He really has been. It has. And it's unfortunate what happened to him, and when he got chop blocked with the knee, and that sucks too. But I would expect Anzalone is going to play on Monday night, and having him back is good for that defense. He's the leader of the defense. And that opens up the possibility, okay, does Jack Campbell become the pass rushing kind of role that Derek Barnes could play? Or, Anzalone does that very well too. And then you could shift Rodriguez over, whatever you have to do. I'm not worried about the Lions linebacker room. I feel terrible for Derek Barnes because he had played his way onto the starting roster there. But they do have guys that can step in. It's not just Malcolm Rodriguez. It's Ben Neiman got to play last week as well, and it's Jalen Reeves-Maben who is quite competent flying around the field. So that doesn't concern me as much as the offensive line injury does.